Hey, how's it going? So it's been about 2 weeks since I've been to Dollywood, and I wanted to give it time to, simmer a little bit and really think about my time at Dollywood. And I was there for 12 hours. So I got there at about 10:30. I think they opened at 10. I got there at 10:30 and I was there until 10:30 p.m. because they had their summer celebration going on right now. So I know they have extended hours. I'm not a Dollywood local. I'm not local to Tennessee, so I don't know what Dollywood is like outside of summer. But I also want to disclaim that I did not see any shows at Dollywood. I didn't eat at any restaurants. I did grab food, which I'm going to talk about. In the park, I did eat, but I didn't go to any restaurants or see any shows. So I'm not going to talk about those. I know they have a lot of great offerings, but I didn't see any. So just a quick disclaimer. With Dollywood, I got a 2-day ticket. It was $123 and change for that 2-day ticket. I only went one day because my second day that I could have gone, I ended up going to the Smoky Mountains. And I'm gonna leave the description. I'm gonna leave the links in my description. So if you go down, scroll up, you'll see my video links are there. So once you're done with this, if you haven't seen those, I would go watch them so you can see me at Dollywood, where I talk about Dollywood while I was there. So it was a lot of fun. My ticket was $123 and change. Parking was $25, which I didn't think about with getting a 2-day ticket, is that you have to pay parking both days that you go, which isn't a big deal. $25 for parking is cheap in the theme park world, genuinely. With parking though, they, Vulcan, you wanna say hi real quick? Say hi! Camera shy now? Remember when you made your debut on YouTube? Yeah, Vulcan, you say hi. Okay, go play. Where was I? So the parking situation at Dollywood was kind of interesting. You pull in whatever you park, and the way the parking lot works is it's very long and narrow. It almost goes along the bottom of the mountain. So it's not just a giant flat parking lot. Which is okay because they have a tram that I highly recommend you take, because it's a mile from where I was parked. It was literally a mile to the front gate, which is nuts. So use the trams. They run very often. They're very big, so they have a lot of capacity. So use the trams. The actual Dollywood park is broken up into 11, I don't want to say lands, 11 different areas. I'm very surprised that they have 11. 11 is a lot. With that being said, some of them were very small, compact areas, nothing crazy. Dollywood has 9 roller coasters, which I'm such a big amusement park roller coaster buff. The first roller coaster on my list is Lightning Rod, and it's a hybrid roller coaster, I guess you could say. It opened as the world's first launched wooden roller coaster. It launches you up the hill. It's so cool. It was so much fun. I went right to that ride because it's very well known for having really bad operations. And it's down a lot because of the nature of the ride. And it was so much fun. Oh man, I knew it was gonna be great. I got to ride it twice. I rode it during the day, and then I got to ride it at night. And I give this roller coaster an 8 out of 10. It could be a 10 out of 10 if the operations were better, if they fully retracked it with iBox track instead of part of it. That's an RMC conversion. If it was all RMC iBox track, holy cow, it would be such a good ride. So yeah, a solid 8 out of 10. The next coaster on my list is Big Bear Mountain. That's their new for 2023 roller coaster. It's a family coaster. It's actually a triple launch roller coaster. That was so much fun. I think it's the perfect bridge of riding a bigger roller coaster, and it's definitely not a small roller coaster. It's very long, and it whips you a bunch. I got to ride it in the back, and man, it was so much fun. It was just a really good fun ride. This I also give an 8 out of 10. I really I wish it had more foliage, which of course will grow as landscaping does. But if you were going through trees and stuff, I think it would be so cool. So I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. It was fantastic. Next is Mystery Mine. This was partly indoors. It was really cute, actually. you're in like this little, it's a little Gerstlauer, which was my second Gerstlauer that I've ever done. I believe it's a Gerstlauer. I'm positive. It's pretty cool. It has really great theming. One thing that I love about Dollywood is the history that the park has. And this station, most of the stations were made completely out of wood, which is kind of a weird concept for me, but it all smelled so good. Like, oh, I love that. And this ride was like, it was fun. It was very janky, like you get jerked around like crazy, and that's not always fun for me, but what I really enjoyed was the, what's it called? The theming was really great, and you have a vertical lift. You have two vertical lifts. The first one is whatever, the second one is when you go up higher, and then you go over the top, and then you kind of like go a little bit, and then you go straight down and twist, and I was like, wow, it was so much fun. But this one I have to give a 7 out of 10 simply because of how jerky it is. I literally only rode it once, and I would ride it again, but I wouldn't run to that ride. Coming up is Blazing Fury. Blazing Fury was an indoor, it was like an indoor roller coaster. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to think of to say, but it was an indoor roller coaster that was so old. Like, I don't know when it was introduced, but it was really kind of neat. I didn't know what to expect at all. I didn't even know what it was. But you like get into this little car, like this train, and then you have like a little lap bar. So that tells me that this is not a crazy ride, of course. But you go out of the station, and it's all indoors, like I said. So you go through like this whole scene, and like you're going through like a western town almost, and like I guess you're on a mission to put out a fire or something. But the whole, maybe like 90% of the ride is just you going very slowly, and you're slowly going up an incline the whole time as you're passing through scenes, and they were like really well done sets. And when I first rode it, there were kids that were with me that were like, hey, just so you know, there's a drop that's unexpected. And I thought like a drop, but it was like a drop. And it's still a kid's coaster, so I was like, okay, that's great, I'm excited. And you go like up, and it was really neat. You're going out, and you're like in the woods, and there's like a covered old time bridge, and you just like see it. And so you go around, and then you go through the bridge, then the bridge collapses, and so like the set like goes down, and then like the coaster track goes down, which it does. The set just moves looking like it's collapsing, which was so much fun. I was in the last row, and I was like, what? I was like just thrown out of my seat. I was like, this is a kid's ride? I rode it twice. It was so much fun. I gave that one a 7 out of 10 because it was just that. Next is Thunderhead, and this is their wooden roller coaster, and everybody told me that this is gonna be like your #1 coaster, and I'm like, I believe you. I believe you, because everybody's like lightning rod, but like real coaster enthusiasts love Thunderhead. And wow, this ride gets a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. And I know it was retracked recently or redone, so it was really refurbished. And man, it was so much fun. It rode so smooth, and I got to ride it. I rode it like 4 times. I rode it in the front, I rode it in the back, I rode it in the middle, I rode it at night, during the day. At night was nuts because it was running so fast, and it like has a lot of like turns, and it goes through the station at one point. So when you're in there, you're just like, you hear the coaster because it's loud, and then it's like, and then it gets so loud, and then it just rips through the station. Oh man. 10 out of 10 experience, loved it, you have to ride it. So there's 3 more coasters. I have Wild Eagle, that's their winged coaster by B&M. It was my first ever wing coaster, which is kind of sad to say because it's known for being very docile as a wing coaster. But the experience of a wing coaster I think is a lot of fun. Like, you're on the wings, and it's themed to an eagle, and it's like on the mountain. Oh man, the way that they worked it into the landscape, and the mountain was, it's almost like with this park, it's like they built the coasters and then formed the landscaping around it. Like they built the coasters and then made the mountain. Like, it's so, oh man, it was so cool. This one I gave an 8 out of 10. There's a lot of 8 out of 10s on here. Really because it was so much fun, but it was not as intense as I wanted it to be. But It was like up in the mountains, so beautiful. Oh man. Tennessee Tornado is the next coaster on my list. And this opened, I think, in the 70s. And when it opened, it was the largest vertical loop in the world. And it runs very well for how old it is and for the type of coaster that it is. My only gripe with it is that I'm 6 foot. And when I was sitting in the coaster, it's normally not crazy tight. Even like crazy, like RMC's, like Iron Gwazi is very tight. But the shoulder restraints come down, and I'm not even kidding. They like, because of my shoulders, I guess because they're too high, the restraint wouldn't go down farther than like this. And like, that doesn't scare me at all, but it was so uncomfortable, like on my shoulders, and I couldn't sit down more to bring it closer. And I know that ride, I forgot the manufacturer, but they're very known for being shaky. And so I was worried of like, this thing is gonna literally like, you're going straight and then it's like, here you go. And you just get boom. And it was fun. This one I gave a 7 out of 10. You go up and then you like go around and then you drop into a tunnel and then you come out of the mountain into the vertical loop, which was so cool. The ride was just short, but it was a lot of fun for what it was. But a 7 out of 10, I stand by that. I will argue that. Fire Chaser Express is the last coaster on my list. This is a dual launched like family coaster, so different than Big Bear Mountain. This launches you out of the station and then you go to like this little thing and then you go up a chain lift, and then go through more of the coaster, and you come into a point when you like go into, it's not covered, but you go into like a firework like warehouse kind of, I guess you could say, is what I would say. And you come to a stop. And so you're in there, and then there's like fire and stuff, and then it shoots you backwards. And so you go backwards up this hill, and then down this like other hill, and then into the last brake run. And it was really neat because the coaster would like stop on the brake runs backwards. Then the next one would shoot out of the station. Then there'd be a switch track, and the coaster that was on the brake one would back into the station. And then you would unload and then load and then go forward, which is kind of really neat. So there's no like, it's a closed circuit, but it's not like, it's interesting. It's a very, very neat concept. This I gave an 8 out of 10. It was so much fun. I was very surprised. Yeah, it was great. I definitely recommend it. And just one last thing, I want to talk about the food. So like I said, I did not eat at any restaurants. I did get a brisket sandwich, which was $15 and change. And it came with like really twisty, thick fries. I forgot what they call them. But the food itself was pretty decent. I would get that again. I think for $15, like that's fine. Because when you think about like other amusement parks, the food is so expensive for no reason. I do wish that I had more brisket. That's the only thing. But it was still pretty decent. And I also got the cinnamon bread with the apple butter, and that was $12 and change. And the apple butter, I bought a jar of it. It was only $10, so I bought a jar of that. But the actual cinnamon bread was just kind of, I don't want to say basic cinnamon bread because it was still good cinnamon bread. It was better than basic, but it's just cinnamon bread. But with the apple butter, if you like that, oh man, you have to eat the apple butter. My overall review of Dollywood, I guess like if I had to rate it, which of course I will, it's a 10 out of 10. 15 out of 10, 10 being the highest. Man, it was so good, such a good experience. It was so wholesome, and very family friendly, which I adore. You know, like any place that's very family friendly and is able to still cater to, you know, all generations. Like they had a lot of history in that park. There was so many things to do for little kids, like even babies. So 10 out of 10, absolutely must visit Dollywood. That park is getting better and better as time goes on. Dolly is putting so much money into it, and not even just the park, but the area. Like Dolly has done so much, from what I've like read and heard, and it's just truly incredible. Like, oh man, I cannot wait to go back. I loved it so much. And that's my review. And I'm really curious to know if you've been to Dollywood, if you're watching this still, and your experience, if you have any recommendations, if you're local. For my next trip, or anybody that is thinking about going, I would love to know. Just comment below. So with that being said, if you could leave a like or anything, subscribe for sure, hit the red button, that'll subscribe to me, so every time I post a video, it'll be in your feed. I have plenty of other videos on my channel to watch as well, and there's more theme park reviews coming, but this is my first, and I loved it. I loved Dollywood. But anyway, with that being said, I love you. Have a good day, night, morning, whatever, and I'll see you later.